This is HBR News number 480. Jack Smith drops case against Trump. Jeff Younger gets devastating news, where we discuss the events of the week and give it the Badger treatment. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. Hope you guys are doing well this week and that you're laughing at all of this absurdity so that you are not consumed by it. My name is Brian. I'm joined by, as always, my lovely co-hosts, Hannah Wallen and Dr. Ranamercam. Tonight we have a special show. Well, every week is special. Every Tuesday is our new show, and there's always something going on. So this week we're going to be talking about the latest, there's actually a lot of updates in legal matters, like things going on with Trump, Jussie Smollett, Jeff Younger, and more. So stick around. It's going to be a good time. And be sure to join us afterwards for the patron-only show. On this week's patron-only show, we also have another piece of news that I was going to make into one of the main stories, but I decided I'll just sort of like make a quick mention of it because it's not huge. And then we'll talk about it more in the patron show. Dr. Disrespect, who you guys might know, he's like a pretty popular streamer. I'm pretty sure he's a gaming streamer of some kind. And he's experienced a series of bans and exclusions. He was kicked off of Twitch, then he was kicked off of YouTube, and now he has found himself over on Rumble, and Kotaku is not happy about it, as they have written an article entitled Dr. Disrespect joins right-wing anti-cancel culture streaming platform Rumble. The gaming personality was demonetized on YouTube over inappropriate messaging with a minor. So right away, poisoning the well, and somehow attaching this to Elden Ring, which is like their tag. I don't know. I guess Dr. Disrespect is experiencing the Dark Souls of streaming content. He's just going into more and more difficult experiences. So if you want to join us for that, become a Badger yourself by going to feedthebadger.com and setting up a monthly subscription. That's feedthebadger.com/subscribe to do that. $5 a month will get you into our Discord, where you'll be able to...
I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it for the after show.
All right. $5 a month will get you into our Discord, where you'll be able to enjoy all of the bonus content if you wish, and even join us in the conversation directly. So if you want to talk right at us and tell us what you really think, then maybe become a Badger first. And if you don't want to wake up one morning and find that we've been yeeted from the internet, please consider checking out our archived content over at honeybadgerradio.com or badgerfeed.com. That's badgerfeed.com, honeybadgerradio.com. All right, with all that out of the way, we are going to jump into today's story. So we have some updates. First, today, so some more charges against Trump have been dropped. So like the cases against him appear to be falling all around him. Which is honestly, for me, shocking. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. But today, special counsel Jack Smith has asked a federal judge to dismiss his felony charges against President Trump for trying to overturn the 2020 election, and has also dropped charges related to Trump withholding classified documents. So that's two cases. The January 6th case, supposedly, or the insurrection, whatever you want to call it, and the classified documents case. Smith believes it is vital to drop all charges before Trump is inaugurated as the DOJ. Quote, he has never faced the circumstance here where a federal indictment against a private citizen has been returned by a grand jury and a criminal prosecution is already underway when the defendant is elected president. End quote. Trump took the opportunity on his Truth Social platform to celebrate, calling the charges, quote, empty and lawless and should never have been brought, end quote. He further stated, it was a political hijacking and a low point in the history of our country that such a thing would have happened. And yet I persevered against all odds and won. That's what they tell me. That's what they say. End quote. Not the last part I added on. This brings... I am doing the dance. You can't see it. You can't see it, but I am. Bum, 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 ba-da, ba-da, bum. This brings Trump's number of current ongoing cases down to 2. Sentencing in Trump's New York hush money case has been delayed indefinitely as Judge Juan Merchan is exploring if the case should be dismissed. Trump's Georgia case, where it's claimed that he, quote, tried to reverse his election loss, end quote, remain on hold due to an appeals court fight concerning the prosecutor.
Can we finally call shenanigans here? Are we allowed to do that, or is YouTube going to be like, you called shenanigans when there were shenanigans that were obvious shenanigans that we're denying, and therefore we're going to silence you
I
because
don't
you're not
think
allowed to
YouTube.
notice the shenanigans.
I don't think YouTube is as hard on this now as maybe
Yeah,
they
it's because
were
they're
in
embarrassed.
2021, 2022.
They
Yeah.
got caught. They got caught. And honestly, this bullshit that he's saying about, oh, we've never faced a circumstance where a federal indictment against a private citizen has been bullshit. Trump is not a private citizen. He's a former president. He's been elected to the office 3 times now. We're hoping that this second try of getting inaugurated works, that he actually is allowed to hold the office he got elected to this time. Everything points to shenanigans during the last election. And the shit that the left is calling shenanigans during this election is actually proof of shenanigans during the last election, right? The votes that they're complaining about disappearing were never real. They only existed during the last election. So he's not dropping these charges because this is some weird situation they've never faced before. If Trump had actually done something illegal and wrong, they would still be going after him. They wouldn't stop. They went after him the whole time he was president during his first term, right? So him being elected to office has no bearing on whether or not he gets prosecuted. It's all about not getting caught, and they've already been caught. They've already been completely and totally exposed, or at least so far as we know. Maybe they still have a few things to hide. Maybe this prosecutor has some things he doesn't want to become public that would just have to become public if he went up against an office holding elected president, as opposed to an elected president that had been kept from his office by shenanigans. That's the only thing that I can think of, because otherwise this makes no sense. Dropping the charges makes no sense unless they have something to hide. And it's the same thing with the rest of these cases. Like, this was all fake. We knew from the beginning it was all fake. Anybody that didn't know from the beginning that it was all fake was covering their eyes. So if you're all shocked, if you're at all shocked by this, if you're at all surprised that this is happening, if you're at all completely flummoxed as to how Trump could get through all of that prosecution and come out clean on the other side, and why stuff is being dropped, and why judges are looking into, gosh, maybe this case should be dismissed, that everybody's relying on to criticize him, maybe you should examine your own biases.
I think I figured out what the cause is. I think it's Reddit. I think Reddit has to like be completely eviscerated. I think Elon
It's
Musk
not.
should buy Reddit. No,
But
I'm
Elon
kind of
Musk did
kidding.
buy
I'm kind
Reddit.
of kidding, but
I
I learned
really wish it
about
was.
this new subreddit today called r/2x chromosomes, and it's the
Oh my god.
most toxic subreddit. Like, it is
You didn't
like,
know
you
about
think you think
2X?
female dating
Oh my
strategy is bad.
god.
2x
2X.
chromosomes. Oh my god. Yeah. That's
I'm
that's
banned
what
from
that's what
posting, and I was banned from posting in 2X chromosomes
yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah. I've never been on
Like
Reddit,
10
but it seems like a
so
dark place.
okay, so just short story here. All right. So when I first started on Reddit, the whole reason that I got onto Reddit was I was looking for a place to share this information and discussion about the things I learned about the Violence Against Women Act, from the long journey of people going through malicious prosecution and vexatious litigation as a result of it, and finding out, that this was federal law, that this is probably happening all over the United States, and anybody who knows a guy who's going through that really should be sharing that information with other people. Here's how to, deal with the situation, and so on, right? So I'm going through and I'm looking, and I find the men's rights subreddit. And so I go in and I start talking to people, and I discover that actually there's a shitload of people who already know. There's 3,000 guys in there, and that was one of the primary topics of conversation in that subreddit, was not the Violence Against Women Act itself, but the phenomenon of when women lie to police during an investigation, when they file false complaints, when they create false evidence, when they perjure themselves, that the court won't do anything to stop them, and it's up to the individual who is facing the false allegations to prove himself innocent. And this was an insane situation. A bunch of us are discussing this together, and we all sort of identified the Violence Against Women Act at the same time, right? So 2X chromosomes invaded the subreddit because they were mad that we noticed that the Violence Against Women Act was biased against men, and that it was biased specifically in a way that facilitated false allegations. And we had this little war of, you can't accuse women of lying. Women never lie. Women never lie about abuse. Women never lie about rape. Women wouldn't lie to get custody of their kids and all that. And of course, the thing that really pissed them off was there were several of us in there that had links to evidence that proved them wrong. And since you proved them wrong, that made you a misogynist. Now, at that point in time, because my name was Onerosgrip, not something girly and cute, they just thought I was another one of the dudes. So I got quite a bit of stop talking with your dick and all kinds of other things that they were, if you're not man enough to take it, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I said to somebody, I'm not man enough to do anything. I'm a woman. Why are you attacking me as if my gender matters? Like, does that change whether or not I'm right? And she's like, well, why are you in the men's rights subreddit? We have a subreddit for women. And so I went and I looked, and there was some discussion going on about this concept of false allegation of rape. And different people were posting about, rape victims would be upset about this and rape victims would be upset about that. And I'm like, no, actually, what I'm upset about is people taking it lightly when somebody lies about this, because it's a very heavy subject and it's a heinous crime, and it indicates that there's something very wrong with the perpetrator. And so if you take somebody who hasn't done this because there isn't that kind of thing wrong with him, and you inflict the illusion that he's done it, it's a pretty big deal. It doesn't do anything to help actual rape victims, but it does take out a guy who might protect a woman if, he's around when she's in trouble. And saying that got me banned from 2X chromosomes. They were mad that I defended innocent men from being accused falsely of rape. And they were mad that a rape victim didn't take the idea that take on the idea that you should be okay with false allegations because it's false accusers and rape victims against men. And I didn't even get to the point of saying, some rape victims are men and some perpetrators are women. In fact, what we've learned now, what I've learned over the last 12 years is that most perpetrators are women. More perpetrators are women than men. It's just that a lot of times when women rape, it doesn't count, right? So 2X chromosomes isn't just toxic. They are malicious. They're not just selfish. They are outright, deliberately anti-male. And they are outright, deliberately anti-due process. They are outright, deliberately anti-father, specifically out of all men. And there's not mental illness there. It's just malice. They are worse. The only subreddit worse than 2X chromosomes is the subreddit shit Reddit says. Right? That's it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't, Reddit's not necessarily the problem here. The problem is that people get on team political side of the fence or political facet of the political spectrum, and then they put on their blinders in anything that doesn't jibe with the goal of let's get this guy elected, let's get that guy elected, because they're from our party. They can't handle that information, so they just cut it all out. They ignore it, and I've noticed this with pretty much every party that runs for office in the United States, whether it's the Democrat Party, the Republican Party, the smaller parties. The Communist Party does it. The Green Party does it, which is just another communist party, but not, they don't want to call themselves that. Libertarian Party does it. I run into people all the time and that will ignore information because they want a particular person to be the best candidate. And so their candidate can have no flaws. And the one thing that has separated MAGA out from, I think, the rest of the political groups is we admit that we don't care about the flaws that you're trying to impose on this particular candidate. We know that he's an adulterer. We know, right, that he's a wealthy man. We don't care. We know that he's had, and among his hundreds of successes, he's had 11 big failures. Big whoop. Right? We know all that. We know that he can say awkward things sometimes. And sometimes he's kind of a nerd. Well, so are the rest of us. Some of us are nerds more often than others. Right? None of that matters to us. And we know, right, that he can be what feminists would refer to as a bit of a womanizer. So could John Wayne. And actually, that's what made John Wayne sexy, was the fact that he was a bit of a womanizer. He didn't give a flying fuck about your sensibilities. Right? And as a candidate, that's what gives Donald Trump the characteristic that is the political equivalent to being sexy. Right? He doesn't give a flying fuck about your sensibilities. He wants to get shit done. I don't agree with necessarily 100% of the shit he wants to get done, but I disagree with less of the shit he wants to get done than I do any other candidate. And I agree with more of the shit that he wants to get done than any other candidate. And that's what makes me MAGA, right? That's what makes most of the people who are MAGA. The whole thing of everybody thinking he's going to be the savior of the world and all that. No, it'd be nice, but nobody's got that much faith in a human being anymore, and nobody should. What we do know, though, is the establishment is scared shitless of him. And we do know that the people with blinders on have been manipulated to blind hatred of him. And the more we see this stuff happening, the more we're going to say, I told you so. Because we've been telling you so since 2016, 2015 even. And y'all have been calling us crazy. And now everything we said was going to happen is happening. So we told you so. Get your shit in order, because you're not ready for what's coming. And I'm glad that this is happening in public.
Yep. Mike?
So do you think they'll still be calling Trump a convicted felon, even when all the charges are dropped or thrown out or dismissed? By they, I mean not just Reddit, but the entire aforementioned
Cathedral
establishment media, the TDS media, which we might as well call them at this point. Will they ever stop calling him a convicted felon? Possibly one of the stupidest questions I've ever asked. Of course they will. They're going to say convicted felon every 30 seconds for the next 4 years. They're going to carry on lying for as long as they can get away with it, and long after they can't get away with it. Except Sonny Hostin. For some reason, The View has lost its legal privileges, and now they have to struggle through legal retractions every time they lie about Matt Gaetz. I mean, you love to see it, but at the same time, you wonder how they can still get away with constantly lying about the notoriously litigious Mr. Trump. I guess he's busy, and so are his lawyers. So, yeah, it's week 3 of will they put the woke away? And the answer is still no. Trump derangement syndrome is indeed a subcategory of woke, a symptom of woke, if you will. And they won't put that away either. Even when someone fact checks them live and says, he's actually never been convicted of anything, let alone a felony, and they'll just go, well, he lied. He cheated his way out of it. He only got away with it by becoming the president. And that shouldn't be allowed. No one is above the law. No one should be above the law, except all the other presidents and us. What's that you say? The innocent life of an intern? Don't mind if I do. Thwomp. Shuck. That's the sound of Joe Scarborough fucking the decapitated head of an intern. Allegedly. Yeah, no. They're going to keep calling him a convicted felon until it's their last breath. And the harder they fall, the worse they will get. The very last MSNBC broadcast, before it gets sold off to Elon Musk and handed over to Alex Jones, the very last broadcasted moment will be Rachel Maddow getting wheeled out in a straitjacket, muttering, "Convicted felon, oh, dictator on day one, bleach," and I'm here for it. And when I say here, I mean I'm literally here in the United States, and I'll be here all winter. Try the chicken.
Welcome back.
Feels good, man.
Well, Rosie O'Donnell's disgusting. I mean, both inside and out. You take a look at her; she's a slob. She talks like a truck driver. Rosie attacked me personally because I was very happy when her talk show failed. The other thing that failed, and this was a real monster, and everybody was suing her, was her magazine. Her magazine called Rosie was a total disaster. So I loved it. I gloat over it. I think it's wonderful because I like to see bad people fail. Rosie failed. I'm happy about it.
Thanks. He really gave us a piece of his mind. Okay. Let us know what you guys think about this in the comments. I mean, I saw this coming. The only way they were going to get a conviction is if they literally threw like every corrupt person in power at this. And they did try, but it looks like they're going to have to not do this. Now, I think there might be other things. I think these people are terrified and now they're trying to get in his good graces because they're afraid of what, essentially these people always project. So there's a fear of what the revenge might look like. And they're thinking, well, what might it look like? And they're thinking about what they would do. And it's terrifying them. So yeah, but we'll see. I want investigations. That's what I want. We'll see. All right, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. We got to move on to the next story. Speaking of justice, justice for Jussie. So the Illinois Supreme Court has overturned Jussie Smollett's conviction for staging a hate crime against himself. No, they did. They overturned it, citing issues with the prosecution process rather than issues with his innocence. Initially, Cook County State Attorney Kim Foxx dropped charges against Smollett in a controversial deal, which led to public outcry and the appointment of a special prosecutor. This special prosecutor then re-indicted Smollett, leading to his conviction in 2021 on 5 counts of disorderly conduct. The Supreme Court's decision focuses on the inappropriate intervention by the special prosecutor after the initial charges were dropped, not on whether Smollett committed the hoax. This ruling has reignited discussions about legal accountability and the handling of high-profile cases. Also, Chicago is super corrupt. I don't know if you guys know. I think it's the second most corrupt city in the country, but right behind Washington, D.C., and it's MAGA country. There is actually a movement happening in Chicago, though, I will say, because I've been watching my hometown because I still have family and friends that live there. There is a movement of people that live in the city that are trying to flip the city. Now, good luck to you guys. I don't think it's going to happen.
It's
But
it's only the city. It's just like Minnesota. It's not even the city. It's the inner city of the capital city.
yes,
That's
well,
so blue
Yeah.
that it
Chicago's
blues
not
the whole
even
state. Yeah.
Chicago's not even the capital of Illinois. It's just the biggest city.
Ah.
And yeah, the capital is Springfield, which is a small town. Like the rest of Illinois is basically redneck country, like Indiana and Iowa. But Chicago is like the definitive urban monoculture that
Mhm.
defines the rest of it. Now, of course, Illinois does have, and this is a digression. We should be talking about Jussie Smollett, but the the governor of Illinois is also super corrupt. His whole family is corrupt. It's the Pritzkers, and they're basically a very powerful family, probably organized crime. I'm just saying it is Chicago. And I know what Sean Connery said about Chicago in the movie The Untouchables, right? They come with a knife, you bring a gun. They come with a gun, you bring a hand grenade, something like that. That's the Chicago way. Anyway, he played an Irishman, even though he had a thick Scottish accent. But Sean Connery
Well,
plays himself in
We
everything.
can't tell
So
the difference either.
It's just genetically speaking, the Irish and the Scottish are the same people. And I might start a war by saying that, but it's
You
fact.
absolutely will. Please retract
Yeah.
that right now.
I can't because my family history has both. So, and it turns out according to the DNA sites that actually look at who you are genetically, if you're Scottish, you're Irish. It's not the other way around either. It's not if you're Irish, you're Scottish. It's if you're Scottish, you're Irish. Which is funny because uh, I always thought the reason that I was part Irish was because my Scottish ancestors fled to Ireland to avoid execution for their crimes. But actually, they just go back and forth all the time. So, but in any case, this is my one of my two prime issues when I talk about men's rights: due process, right? And there are a broad variety of consequences for due process failures. Most of the time when we talk
Hannah, did Hannah drop? Is anyone here? My internet's still on. What about the rest of you guys? Oh shit, Hannah just dropped and Mike is muted. Can you guys hear me? I'm still online. My internet's still going, so it's not me. Hello? Uh-oh. Can you guys hear me in the live chat? You do. Okay, I thought so because I'm still online. I'm still going. Hannah dropped though. She dropped out. Mike, are you there? You're muted. I don't know why you're muted.
Yeah, yes. Hello.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, Hannah dropped out of the call, so I guess we'll have to move on unless Mike wanted to say something about Juicy.
Yes, Hannah, we can't hear you.
Wait, Hannah's not in the call. She has to drop.
No,
She's not. Can you see her? Let me tell her to hang up and come back in.
Okay, we've got a weird situation. You can't hear Hannah. I think I can hear Hannah, but Hannah can't hear you. But I think Hannah can hear me.
Why? Ask her to drop and come back. Ask her to
Okay,
leave and
Hannah,
come back.
drop and come back. Okay, I don't think she can hear me either. No, but I think
Weird. All right.
Okay, she's doing that. Okay, she's doing that. Okay.
All right.
I'll do my bit.
I didn't do it, but you do your bit. Okay.
All right. I can't even get mad about this story because of the first story.
Yeah, right.
Trump gets off, Smollett gets off. It's tit for tat.
Is this a fair trade?
Yeah, life gives you lemons, and then it gives you Don Lemon. But that's another story.
No, it gives you Subway sandwiches.
First it giveth, then it taketh away, as I believe. Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now. I don't know what happened, but it seemed something goofy happened. So you were saying?
his rights, damage the defendant. They take away his property, they take away his freedom, they take away his reputation, they take away his relationships. Many things, many bad consequences hit. I'm still not audible on the stream, they said. Fuck. That's
No, you should be
ridiculous.
audible now. You should be audible
Hardcore
now.
is a
If Brian
Nova
can hear you,
fan.
then the audience can hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Okay,
no,
well, it's been
I
about
see
30
it.
seconds.
Yeah, there's like a little
Okay,
bit of
okay.
delay, but I can hear you.
Okay. So all of that happens, right? And that's the primary reason, the most important reason for due process is to prevent the state from running over the little guy. But there's another consequence that can happen because of due process being violated that we don't talk about as often, and this is it, right? So this guy's not going to face the full consequences of his actions because
Let me ask you this,
his
Hannah.
since his due process rights were violated, his case is now dropped. What were you going to ask?
Oh, I was gonna ask, like, because they're calling this, let me see, the charge is disorderly conduct, 5 counts. And what I'm wondering is, if you fake a hate crime and you go on like 60 Minutes or whatever it was, and you use this, I mean, obviously to raise your platform, which I think as an actor, these people are prostitutes essentially when it comes to trying to get work, but also you're condemning like half the population of the, like a large
more
swath
than half
of people.
The majority.
Yeah, more than
The
half
majority.
now. Yeah. So like what should the crime have been? I wonder what you think. I mean, there's what the letter of the law says, but I'm wondering what you think.
I was going to say, the first thing is, like, he went to police. He called police, right? So he filed a false complaint with police.
But yes, he wasted police time. Yes, false.
All right,
false
no,
alarm.
No. It is in the UK, the law states wasting police time. In the United States, there's a specific charge for filing a false complaint with police. There's a specific charge for lying to police during an investigation. They are not the same charge. He did both. He should be charged with both, right? So those are 2 separate crimes. And then he also manufactured evidence. That's a crime. He should be charged with that. He submitted that false evidence. That's a crime. He should be charged with that. All right. Then he went into court and he told a shitload of lies. And everything that can be confirmed to be a lie, he should be charged with a separate perjury charge for each of those. And then, on top of that, he conspired with other people and paid them to assist in the commission of his crime. That's conspiracy. So every single one of his crimes, he can also be charged with conspiracy to commit those crimes. And he should be. And every single one of those crimes was ignored by the system. Right? These things that
he's friends with Kim Fox, who's the
I know, but like all that stuff, but these are things that could be done that won't be done. Okay? They should have been done, but they won't be done. And now we are in a situation, the rest of the country, where this insufferable asshole who wasted a bunch of money, created a bunch of controversy in the country, and a bunch of conflict, exacerbated conflict that was already existing. And by the way, the environment he did this in was an environment in which, if everybody believed him, at that point in time, people were burning down other people's property, randos' property, not people involved in crimes, not people involved in any kind of protest or anything, just people whose property happens to be in the path of the protest. They were looting businesses. They were committing huge numbers of property crimes and violent crimes against people. People's pets were being hauled out of their homes and killed. And I have that from somebody who was actually there, who actually had to protect her pets from people who were rioting. So we're not talking about some kind of just rumor. This is an actual witness who experienced this herself. That people try to break into her home and haul out her pets and kill them because she was white. Right? And that's what he was messing with. That's the environment that he was trying to push. Right? That's the situation that he was trying to exacerbate with all of this. So in this situation, this individual should have every stinking criminal prosecution that can be thrown at him done. Every charge that can be filed as a result of something that he did in this case should be filed. And like everything that was attempted with regard to Trump, aside from trying to stretch to make things fit criminal descriptions when they don't, that should be done. Well, that's what should happen. And it should be so scary for people to do something like this that other people will be afraid to lie. That people will never want to report something unless they can show that it actually happened. Like there has to be real evidence. And that's what needs to happen, right? But that's not what happened. What happened was the guy got off without being prosecuted initially because he was friends with the prosecutor, which is a evidence
Conflict
of
of
corruption,
interest. Yeah.
right? That's evidence of corruption, and the prosecutor should also be facing an investigation. But that happened, and then the system was manipulated by public outcry, which is never good. And then due process violations were committed, and now this insufferable asshole can go around pretending to be found innocent, which didn't happen because his conviction was overturned on technicalities. And now that he's gotten away with it, other people that want to do what he did, and it's a frequent thing, as we noted, oh gosh, on several episodes we've noted this, where there's been, he's just the most famous instance of a fake hate crime. There have been multiple times where, mostly women, by the way, are doing this, but there have been multiple times where somebody has painted stuff on their own garage or put fake messages on their whiteboard at school, or claim to have received phone calls they didn't receive, or gotten shouted at in the street and they didn't get shouted at in the street and all that. There's been numerous instances of this. So this type of hoaxing is common, prevalent, and a huge problem in the country because it's expensive every time it happens. And sometimes it gets people wrongly imprisoned, ruins their reputation, and causes people to get killed, causes property to get damaged, has effects way beyond the scope of the individuals involved. So the prosecutor needs to be prosecuted.
All right. Mike, did you want to say anything more?
Yes. As I was saying, from an almost pragmatic perspective, I'm almost happy with this deal, given the nature of the first story and the second story. You get Smollett let off, we get Trump let off. Even though Trump is innocent and Smollett is an irredeemable liar and obvious large-scale crisis agent, no less, large-scale crisis agent hired by none other than Kamala Harris, no less, allegedly, of course. That's a big deal, but Trump is an even bigger deal, and we're getting him back. If that's our deal, if that's our hostage exchange, that's a good deal. It's a great deal. It might be the greatest deal ever in the history of America. Here, I'll do the dance. You
Yes.
can't see it, but I'm doing
Dun, 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 dun.
You know, if this story happened before November, I'd be dooming all over. I'd be laying black pills like rabbit shit all over the place. But fuck it, let him off. I'm in a good mood right now. I'm in the land of the free.
Good. You are.
I'll be here until it has inaugurated the candidate of the free.
Yay! And we're gonna meet up. We're going, right?
Yes,
I'm
of
still
course.
trying to convince Lindsay, but I think I can talk her into it. We're gonna meet
all-
you there for the inauguration to hang out with Lauren and Mike and whoever else wants to join us. Mark your calendars. If you're in the Washington D.C. area and you want to hang out, let us know.
And this is all assuming it does happen. It's assuming
This
they
is
don't
assuming
start,
yeah.
they don't start World War III before then, but it's fine. I'm only like 55% sure that's going to happen, and I like those odds. It's the land of the free. Let's live dangerously. Let's
go.
get dangerous, as Darkwing Duck used to say. In the meantime, I can say whatever I like, especially online, and not get arrested for it. I can go on Twitter and call Keir Starmer a criminal and a traitor and a Bolshevik ball bag and a gay Jew with bits of children between his teeth. A crudely carved marionette puppet of a lesbian with cerebral palsy. A rubber mannequin with the face of a smacked pig's ass drawn on a jellyfish. I may have taken this on a tangent there, sorry. But yeah, fuck it, let him off. Free Jussie Smollett. Why not? It works in a practical sense too.
Justice for Jussie.
Because now he can act as a warning, as a chilling cautionary tale, not a warning to others who might commit the same alleged crime, but a warning to anyone who's thinking of hiring the likes of Jussie Smollett ever again. Let it be known he can commit hoax crimes and get away with it, allegedly. And if that's the case, allegedly, then maybe he should, under any circumstances, never work again. Allegedly. A little bit of food for thought is all you need. One way or another, DEI is going to eat itself.
The juice is loose.
That's who's. This is just one.
To perform more abuse.
This is just one of the puncture points as DEI bites into itself as it eats itself. It's like being a diversity hire casts a shadow of doubt over you because no one will ever be sure of your merits. Being a participant in mafia levels of organized fraud, allegedly, even if you get away with it, allegedly, will cast a considerable shadow of doubt over you. The kind of shadow only the very worst of us will ever have to endure. And you deserve it. Therein is your fate, Jussie Smollett. You will serve not as a good example, but as a horrible warning. For that, I applaud you. But don't do it again. This is MAGA country.
Okay. One thing I will say, since no one's brought her up, Kim Fox, one thing that I guess that she has on her side here is that this is just more in line with her general pattern of being soft on crime. So she can't really claim inconsistent.
Should be prosecuted, right?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, Kim Fox. Yes.
Okay.
Who has been implementing soft on crime policies all over Chicago. So treating je ne sais Smollett with the same kind of leniency makes sense and it's completely in line. So let us know what you guys think about this video or this story in the comments. I'm sorry, my brain is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments. We're going to move on to the next story. I did get a super chat from Meredith G, who I forgot to read out. The top G, Meredith G, gives us $5. Thank you, Meredith, and says, HBR News 480. When Jack Smith sought to drop the charges, he did so in a way that implies he could bring the charges again in 4 years. Jack acted outside of his authority and has a history of bad behavior, and he should be concerned that a DOJ cleanup will come after him. I agree with both parts of those. I think kind of implied the second part, but yes, they're going to try probably, or it's suggested they're going to come after Trump when he's 81 or something. Like he's, yeah, go get him, I guess. But yeah, I don't know that that's going to work out. I'm pretty sure it's not, but I guess they can dream, Anyway, moving on to the next story. Once again, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. All right. So this, unfortunately, is bad news that I have to share. So Jeff Younger, we've covered this in the past. Jeff Younger is a father from Texas, and he was in a legal battle with his ex-wife, trying to prevent her from chemically castrating their 12-year-old son. We covered this in the past a couple of times. So this is the follow-up. He has suffered a significant legal setback in his long-standing battle to prevent his ex-wife, pediatrician Anne Georgoulas, which sounds like a ghoulish name for a ghoulish woman, from chemically castrating their now 12-year-old son James, who identifies, according to the wife, as a girl named Luna. Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Mark Juhas granted Georgoulas full custody, allowing her to proceed with gender-affirming care, including hormone therapy, despite Younger's objections. Younger announced on X that he has lost all parental rights to his twin sons and can only have supervised visitation, which he has decided to not to partake in. This is starting to sound a lot like the John Money thing, considering there are twins and then she's going to transition one of them. This ruling effectively terminates Younger's ability to influence his child's medical decisions, highlighting a contentious issue in the debate over parental rights and transgender health care for minors.
So this is one that we've seen this kind of court interference in parental disagreements before. And this is a situation where the parents disagree over the best course of action for child rearing. There's no abuse being alleged here. What Younger wanting to put off something that, especially given that only his wife sees evidence of it and he doesn't, like that's not abuse. That is a check and balance against Munchausen syndrome by proxy. And it's one of those things that in the next 10 or 15 years, it's already started, by the way. There is a detransitioners movement. There's going to be a reckoning where these kids whose parents abused them as purse puppies for political points, for virtue points, they're going to end up coming back and suing their doctors, suing their parents that transitioned them, suing their school teachers that encouraged them to do this and everything. And I just hope that we have the system in place to handle it, because it's going to be a bloodbath in the legal system. There are going to be people whose families are severed forever over this. There are going to be people who lose everything that they own over this because the judgment against them is going to be so high. There are going to be doctors that lose their practice who should lose their practice. And there are going to be people that are mad about it because the issue of so-called trans kids is very contentious. But the reality is, just like with certain behavioral disorders that got way overdiagnosed because it made students a lot easier to manage in the classroom if they were drugged, for probably every 1,000 kids that get this diagnosis, there might be one who has some actual medical need for treatment. And this is probably not the right treatment. This is the duct tape and bale wire of medicine. And they're not even bothering to try to figure out a way to help boys that think they're girls, which this one, there wasn't necessarily evidence that that was the case, but boys that think they're girls learn or develop the chemistry to be comfortable as boys, and girls who think they're boys develop the chemistry to be comfortable as girls. And all of this is probably brain chemistry. And nobody has ever bothered to try to find a different way of helping people with dysphoria besides cutting them up like lab experiments. And I've watched friends struggle through this and maintain dignity under circumstances that are damn near impossible. And I just think anybody that would inflict this on a child, You know, we use the phrase "there's a special place in hell" all the time very lightly. I don't mean this lightly. There is a special place in hell for mothers that do this to their children.
Yeah. Mike, do you want to say anything? Did you guys drop again?
Not me.
Oh, okay. Mike is muted.
I
But
just
I don't know if he
yeah.
distracted by Lauren. Mike.
This is one of
All
those
right.
stories. This is hard.
No, this is yeah, it is. It sucks.
There was a
It's-
mom who was convicted a while back of killing her child by salt poisoning. And
He's on a
I've
smoke
toughened
break.
up.
Thank you very
There you
much.
go.
It's not me.
It's not you. We're gonna blame you anyway, Lauren.
Yeah. Sure.
No, I just
Hawk
that
tour.
story wrecked me for a long time, and this one's probably gonna do it too, because you can't go back from hormonal treatment as a child. And I've watched friends struggle through hormonal treatment during childhood too. My best friend in elementary school had early onset puberty, and it's a rare condition, and it can cause some very serious health problems later in life. And so the type of therapy that is used to delay puberty in kids that are transitioning, that therapy was given to her back in the early 80s. It would have actually started in the late 70s, early 80s. And it worked. You know, she had sort of a pause button where she didn't develop into womanhood any further for a few years until they stopped. And they didn't do it for very long because the treatment also has devastating side effects if you're not careful with it. And you know, we lost her. Gosh, it's been about 10 years now that she committed suicide.
Yeah.
There's a lot of changes that take place in your body when you fuck with the hormones. And you know, there were other health problems that had contributed to that. She had degenerative disc disease, and they took away all of her pain medications. So besides the lifelong depression, she was also in severe pain with no medical treatment. And nobody in the legal system or the medical system cared. And that's what's happening in these kind of situations. They're not trying to help people with pain. They're trying to milk them for every penny they can get from them. And as soon as they can't do that, they will drop them like hot potatoes. They will have no medical support. And if there's not a system in place to handle this, we may see an uptick in suicide like we've never seen before in the history of the world. And it may be that the public is going to have to be prepared to provide support for friends and family members who are going through this shit, or who are close to someone going through this shit, because this is a phenomenon that's never happened before. Like, it's not that Munchausen's by proxy has never existed. It's just never been on this scale. It's never been supported on this scale by the establishment. And it's never had this many victims at once survive long enough to become a danger to themselves when they realize what's been done to them and have difficulty living with it.
Yep. Mike, do you want to say anything?
I have prepared nothing for this story. I don't know how to spin it in a positive or humorous direction. And I'm in a good mood today, and I'm determined to stay in a good mood. So I have avoided this story. But I think Hannah's said everything that needs to be said.
Well, I
Yeah.
hope Trump does everything he says he's going to do in regard to the transitioning of children, because that'll protect a lot of kids from going through this.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
That's one positive.
I think that's right. And unfortunately, I don't know. Like there's going to be a reckoning where people are going to realize the thing that they have either actively participated in or passively accepted in the name of tolerance that is going to it's going to be really hard for them to reckon with. I mean, I'm already prepared because I've been speaking up about this for a long time, but unfortunately, you know, that sunken cost, that is a motherfucker. So um but we'll see. And I hope that Jeff Younger continues to fight and people continue to talk about this stuff because it has to be. So all right, moving on to the next story. By the way, this is the thing that motivated Elon Musk to do everything that he's been doing. What they did to one of his children. He said, I've effectively participated in the murder of my own children or child. And that motivated him. All right, so I got a super chow from Zeranx, a big one. He gives us $5. Thank you, Zeranx. And he says, the James Younger case, that's Jeff Younger's son, slated to be forcibly turned from male to female, is why I specifically say government should be removed from children when I say get government out of marriage, family, and children. Reforming the laws are half measures, and I refer to such wannabe law reformists as eighth measured people who aren't serious towards safety and protection of all, and especially children. The same government could, at one point, decide human beings capable of producing children couldn't be together if their skin color was different. Now that same government is saying that a man can't protect his children. It's surrogacy or becoming expats, being a passport bro. Any who dislikes it is an enemy of family. Thank you, Zeranx. That's well said. Okay, we're going to move on to the final story. Thank you guys so much for your comments on this, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the comments section. All right, last one. So this is just kind of like a broad thing. I covered this on the call-in show last Friday in brief, but I thought it would be worth bringing up on this show to get other people's, like Mike's and Hannah's, thoughts on it. Essentially, this is talking about the weaponization of sexual assault charges or other sort of like similar charges as a tool of political warfare. And this has been going on for a very long time, and we've covered it many times on this channel, but I want you all to see just how brazen the pattern is. So several of Donald Trump's cabinet picks for his upcoming administration have faced allegations of sexual misconduct, complicating their confirmation process. Who'da thunk? What a coinky-dink. Notably, Trump's pick for Attorney General Matt Gaetz withdrew his nomination amidst long-standing accusations of sexual misconduct, including an investigation by the House Ethics Committee into claims involving sex trafficking with a minor. Other nominees like Pete Hegseth, nominated for Defense Secretary, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Health and Human Services, also have histories of sexual misconduct allegations. Hegseth settled with an accuser over an alleged assault, while Kennedy was accused of groping by a former babysitter. By the way, all of these allegations are very old. I'm talking like 80s and 90s, okay? One I think was from 2017. That's how far back the incident supposedly occurred. And of course, don't forget all the allegations against Trump himself, even ones by like the most ridiculous level, like E. Jean Carroll, for example. Don't forget allegations against Brett Kavanaugh when he was running for office. Don't forget allegations were made against Clarence Thomas. Like, this is just the way of the world. And the question is, and I know you guys know the answer to this, why specifically are these allegations the ones that are so effective, or at least appear to be really effective? Anyway, Hegseth settled with an accuser over an alleged assault, while Kennedy was accused of groping by a former babysitter. These nominations suggest a potential shift in how sexual misconduct allegations are perceived within political appointments, challenging all of the things established, all of the assumptions established by the Me Too movement, which has not gone away, as you can see, and raising questions about accountability and the vetting process for high-ranking government officials.
Whoever Trump appoints next raped me 20 years ago. I mean, sexually misconducted me.
He did replace Matt Gaetz with a woman, and I don't remember her name, but there was that.
You can see the tactics behind that. And yeah, this used to be a meme. This used to be just a meme. Whoever Trump picks for the Supreme Court next fed me Doritos in a gimp suit or whatever. It still is a meme, but it's also not, because it's reality now. What an amazing coincidence that it's specifically Trump's pics, whose victims have suddenly had their memory jogged, of all the politicians with some kind of sexual skeleton in their closet. It's just this particular subset sorry, I said sexual skeleton, and now I have some images in my head that should not be. That's my bad. Sorry. They say don't let your memes be dreams, but some of your memes might actually be better off just hanging back in the dream realm, if that's okay. If you could just chill out back there. After all, you're such a chill guy. Especially, case in point, this meme where the specter of men's so-called sexual misconduct, and it's always men's, is imagined sexual misconduct, is weaponized to the point of absurdity, regime altering absurdity. Sort of, it doesn't even matter if you have the House and the Senate and the whole kit and caboodle, when these rat bastards can still carve out the administration they want using the industrial mining laser of man hurt woman ooga booga. It's always the worst memes that hit reality first. The world is turning into clown world, one blob at a time. And sooner or later, the whole universe is going to be made of infinite clowns, of flashing in and out of reality and giving you the finger. I think that might be what the gods are warning us about every time we take DMT. Or maybe that's how the clowns are leaking into this reality. Every time someone takes DMT, another wave of infinite self-dribbling basketball clowns escapes from the demon dimension and into ours. It's like strange quark matter. It instantaneously converts everything it touches into a mass of grey, strangelet NPC slime. It's like how a fairy dies every time someone says they don't believe in fairies. Every time you smoke DMT, another human becomes an NPC. Holy shit, Joe! Don't even pull that up, Jamie. We've all made a terrible mistake. I may have taken us on another tangent, folks, but hopefully it's been a humorous journey. Another reminder that I love America. I love what you're allowed to do here, even if it does send you off on the odd tangent and possibly fill the world with clown demons. Nevertheless, God bless America.
So the crazy thing about the Matt Getz investigation, if I understand correctly, he was accused initially of trafficking because his girlfriend traveled with him while he was campaigning, and this is like you're not disallowed from traveling with someone who is underage if you're not having sex with them. So there's no actual crime there unless they can prove that some kind of sexual contact occurred, right? And the investigation went on for quite a while, and included a bizarre circumstance with this scam artist from Florida who he had several prior convictions for fraud before targeting Gates, and then he targeted Gates with this weird extortion racket that involved, like, he promised he was going to get him a presidential pardon, and he kept contacting his father instead of him, trying to, trick the elderly guy into agreeing to something, and trying to blackmail him, basically. Oh, he's going to get convicted of this if you don't give me money. And he got sentenced for that in 2021. Right? So they continued to pursue Gates for quite some time, and eventually had to give up. Say, okay, well, we can't actually convict him of this. We can't prove that he did this. We're not even going to bring a case. And suddenly, a woman comes forward and claims to have witnessed sex taking place that didn't have any, inclination to testify or come forward or anything until it looked like the case was going to get dropped. So it's the turns and twists on this have been very sus. And so anytime that you see this kind of allegations where it looks like, oh, this guy maybe actually looks like he might be guilty, you really got to sort through the bullshit, because what I'm seeing here is evidence of the establishment really trying to get rid of a guy, and not actually evidence of a guy engaging in sexual misconduct. So if there's not some sort of physical evidence, pictures, the alleged victim coming forward and saying, "Oh yes, this was done to me," because I think this is another one of those cases also where the alleged victim is like, "No, that never happened." The person who made the allegation initially is lying, and there's nothing here to investigate. Leave me alone. So that's really bizarre in and of itself when they pursue a case where the alleged victim says, "No, you're wrong. There was no crime here." So it's not surprising to see that happen with this situation, but it's made Gates a very interesting guy, as far as I'm concerned, and I want to see what he's going to do now, and I'm hoping that in the future, whatever the full facts of this case are when they come out, I hope all of them come out, because I think it's going to be a very interesting case. And aside from that, nobody should ever take seriously any sexual misconduct allegation that is made against somebody after it comes out that they're running for or being appointed to a particular office. Because if it doesn't exist, if there's no allegation until that happens, especially if the allegation is of something that has supposedly happened a long time ago, it's not real. It's fake every single time, and it really is just being used as a weapon. And honestly, my advice to these men that are going through this is the same as my advice to the little guy, the layman, the guy that just does his job every day and has to have this happen to him. Sue the shit out of him. Everybody that was involved in the allegation, everybody that was involved in promoting it, everybody that published anything about it where they editorialized in any way, shape, or form that was derogatory to the accused should all be sued.
Yep. All right. Well, I already gave my thoughts on this one on Friday, so you guys can check that out. It was the Badger Lodge that I took some. Well, I ended up taking only one call, but it was a good call. So shout out to Anonymous, the person who called. All right, but anyway, that's basically all the story. So we're gonna go ahead and go into the patron show now and talk a little bit about Dr. Disrespect joining Rumble. I think this makes Rumble. Well, I think Rumble's a viable platform. I think that we should all be on Rumble. I think that making YouTube irrelevant is like a goal, maybe at least a short-term goal. But yeah, we're going to talk about Dr. Disrespect going over to Rumble and what that means for the platform. Meanwhile, I did get one other super chow from Meredith G for $5, and she says, comment about the Hegseth allegations. He is not a man known for sexual fidelity. If one were to read the police report, you can pick up on the following. 1, witnesses found the accuser to be sober prior to the encounter. 2, Hegseth was the person who appeared to be drunk. 3, the accuser had sex with her husband after the encounter. And 4, Hegseth was flirting with other women prior to the encounter. And 5, the rape kit was performed about 5 days later after the accuser started to have a problem that occurs when one has sex with a new partner and multiple partners, which is why there was no drug test. Also important, Fox News was known for fast and easy payout at the time of the accusation because this was post Bill O'Reilly. Yeah, I mean, being like kind of...
It makes it sound like the accuser assaulted Hegseth.
Yeah.
If she was sober and he had been drinking, yeah, that's... If the sexes were reversed, The guy would never speak up and say, "Oh, I was assaulted," because if he was drunk and she was sober, that would be a rape charge, right?
Yep.
So if she was
Sure would.
sober and he had been drinking, like depending on how much he had to drink, yeah, that would make her the sexual assailant in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
That
a
is,
bit.
if women really want equality.
Well, of course they don't. Well, thank you, Meredith. Thank you for that. And I know that, you know, Hegseth he's like a former military, and I've talked to some guys on the channel, and they have made mistakes, but that's not the same as breaking the law in the way that is suggested. But yeah, I'm with Hannah on that. It sounds like if he was drinking and she wasn't drinking, then she is the one that is actually the criminal here. But anyway, we're going to go into the patron show now. We're going to talk about Dr. Disrespect. If you guys want to join us, go and become a badger by going to feedthebadger.com/subscribe. $5 a month will get you into Discord so you can watch the additional content. And if you give it higher levels, you'll be able to join in and essentially be a part of the panel discussion itself. So with all that said, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you so much for coming on today's episode of HBR News. And we will see you next Tuesday.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.